Hello, everyone, and welcome to Angel Healing House, and welcome to Time with Angel Ariel to restore hope, inspiration, and peace. My name is Claire Candy Hoff, and my name is also Angel Ariel, as I had an angelic walk-in experience on January 11th of 2003. I'd like to welcome back my loyal subscribers. Thank you so much for liking and sharing and subscribing. It's lovely to be together in your energies once more. And if you have found the Claire Candy Hoff YouTube channel for the first time, let me share a little bit about myself. Through my full-time business, Angel Healing House, which I created in 2003, now almost 20 years ago. I'm a Reiki master teacher. I'm an intuitive counselor, a channel, clairvoyant, psychic tarot card reader. I also do past life clearings and ancestral healings to help people to release blockages and sabotaging issues that stop them from living their highest potential and their most glorious lives. I'm also the author of several #1 Amazon International best-selling books. So to find out more information about my services, my award-winning books, perhaps to book a session, please do go to my website, which is angelhealinghouse.com, or you can always phone 831-277-3716, and do remember that's Pacific Standard Time, as we are in beautiful Santa Monica, California. I'd like to send out a big thank you to all of those people who made donations to my PayPal account for my free content. Whether you watch my YouTubes, whether you're a listener to my Angel Healing House blog talk radio show every week at 10 a.m., and that's Pacific Standard Time, of course, in which I bring forth channeled information along with my angelic family, the Posse of Angels, and then people can call in for free mini angel readings, and the show is now in its 11th year. So if you have made donations, thank you. And if you would like to make donations for my free content, I've left the information for my PayPal account in the description box down below. So as we do every week here on Time with Angel Ariel, we start with a story to motivate us to feel joyous, to feel fulfilled, and experience peace within. Today's story is simply entitled, Give. Two men, both seriously ill, occupied the same hospital room. One man was allowed to sit up in his bed for an hour each afternoon to help drain the fluid from his lungs. His bed was next to the room's only window. On the other side of the room, the other man had to spend all his time in plaster, flat on his back, as he was recovering from a near-fatal car accident. The men talked for hours on end. They spoke about their wives and families, their homes, their jobs, where they had been on vacation, and even their dreams. Every afternoon, when the man in the bed by the window was allowed to sit up, he would pass the time by describing to his roommate all the things he could see outside of the window. Now the man in the other bed, who had to remain flat on his back, began to live for those 1-hour periods, where his whole world would be broadened and brought to life by all the activity and color of the outside world. The window overlooked a park with a lovely lake and benches. Ducks and swans played on the water, while children sailed their model boats and fed the birds. Young lovers walked arm in arm amidst flowers of every color and description, and a fine view of the city's skyline could be seen in the distance. As the man by the window described all this in exquisite details, the man on the other side of the room would close his eyes and imagine this picturesque scene. One afternoon, the man by the window described a parade passing by. Although the other man could not hear the band, as they were several floors above street level, he could see it in his mind's eye as the gentleman by the window portrayed it with descriptive words. Days and weeks passed by. One morning, the nurse arrived to bring water for their baths, only to find the lifeless body of the man by the window who had peacefully died in his sleep. She was saddened, and she called for the hospital attendants to take the body away. As soon as it seemed appropriate, the other man asked if he could be moved next to the window. The nurse was happy to make the switch, and after making sure he was comfortable, she left him alone. Slowly yet painfully, he propped himself up on one elbow to take his first look at the world outside since having his accident. Reaching up for the cord to open the curtains, he strained to slowly turn to look out the window beside his bed, and he was astounded to see that it faced a blank wall. The man called the nurse in, and he said, what could have compelled his deceased roommate to describe such wonderful things outside of the window? The nurse responded that the man was blind and he couldn't even see the wall. She then added, perhaps he just wanted to encourage you. There's tremendous happiness, everyone, in making others happy, despite our own situations. Shared grief is half the sorrow, but happiness when shared is doubled. This is why so many times those who have endured and triumphed over horrific events and unspeakable challenges in life, they often go on to become successful mentors, teachers, and leaders, to compassionately comfort others to heal and to have the courage to do the same, triumphing over addictions, or having the courage and the bravery to make peace with the past, to be able to go on and create a new fulfilling life. Now, over my years in practice through my Angel Healing House business, I've seen many clients who were depressed, having forgotten how to access the beautiful light which we all have within. Now, sometimes the depression is so very dark and severe that these clients cannot find anything to grasp onto that could help them to feel better in order to lift and change their sad energies to more positive ones. This story of giving reminded me of my client. It's not his real name, but let's call him Roger, who told me in our first session together that he'd lost his smile and had what he called a terrible run of bad luck. And let me just say here that I do not believe there is such a thing as bad luck. To say this, actually, is a denial of our ability to affect our lives through our conscious use of energies contained in our powerful thoughts, in our powerful words, and the powerful feelings in our hearts. Because of the laws of attraction, or like attracting like, the universe can't tell the difference between positive or negative things happening in our lives. The more we put our focus on being a victim, blaming others, or replaying regret, resentment, anger, and sadness, the more we invite and encourage these energies to come and remain in our lives. Now, after a lifetime of blaming everyone else for his problems, Roger found himself severely depressed with a long trail of angry ex-girlfriends who financially supported and enabled his victim and poor me attitude. He found himself with an angry business partner that after years and years of being made to financially shoulder more than his share of their business, this business partner had finally reacted by selling a house that they built together and kept all the proceeds for himself. And he found himself with an angry, volatile relationship with his family. After years of this client treating people with such ill regard and not taking accountability, his life was merely a mirror of cause and effect. Now, through our sessions together, it became very clear that the angry people that were constantly appearing in his life were a reflection of the tremendous unresolved anger that he had bottled up inside. As I tuned in, I could clearly see that his anger was not towards anyone or anything external, but in his great disappointment that he had constantly given his power away, letting others control his life, because he didn't have the courage to follow his dreams. And by not doing what he wanted to do in life, he eventually became very sad and unfulfilled and began to lash out in anger at others. Now, having lost all of his money, his livelihood, and having been cut off from his family and friends, he could not see anything worth getting out of bed for. I shared that in my many years as a healing practitioner, I experienced that one of the quickest ways to help lift our spirits is to go out and help someone who is less fortunate than we are. I received a vision of a hospital and told him that hospitals provide a great opportunity for people to volunteer. Shrugging his shoulders, Roger replied that he had nothing more to lose, so why not give it a try? All new volunteers at the hospital where Roger volunteered were teamed up with a senior volunteer. Roger was paired with a retired elderly gentleman by the name of Bruce. It was their job to take the cart that was filled with newspapers and magazines and candies and sundries floor to floor for the patients to purchase things. This seemingly mundane task took on an air of magic as Roger watched Bruce interact with such warmth and heartfelt connectivity with every patient that he visited. He genuinely inquired how they were feeling. Many times he shared a joke, a story, or some news of the outside world. Even if they didn't buy anything, Roger noted that the patients seemed to sit up a little straighter. They seemed somehow brighter and had more color in their cheeks after they had a visit from Bruce and his cart. As the weeks passed by, the two men became friends. And one day after their rounds, Bruce said to Roger, "Why don't we go to the cafe next door and get a real cup of coffee?" In their conversation, Bruce said that he was an ex-car mechanic and he used to race cars and he still owned a warehouse in an industrial part of town. Roger was amazed, as he had always been a car enthusiast and had restored many old vintage cars in his youth. Suddenly, not only the years between the two of them seemed to melt away, but all traces of sadness lifted off of Roger as he enthusiastically told Bruce about the muscle cars, the V8s, and classic vehicles that he had rebuilt. With a twinkle in his eye, Bruce said that if Roger was interested, he could use his warehouse to work on classic cars, and that he could help him. This was the turning point that Roger had brought to himself. Why? Because he stepped out of his sadness and he sought to give and to be of service to those who were less fortunate than he was. By following the passion in his heart that was there all along, he drew to himself a like-minded friend and eventually a business partner and the means to find his smile again and the start of a whole new life. Everyone, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Every day, each one of us has the blessing of free will and the choice to give. And there are so many ways to give. Many people think immediately about giving money to others. This is admirable if your bank account can afford it. But when it comes to giving, the universe simply does not evaluate in what form or how one gives. The universe takes note of giving, whether we give of our time, our energy, our words of praise, support, healing, and comfort. each time we give. It is written in our book of life, and it opens us up to receive more. Yet we do not give solely to receive. My angelic family, the posse of angels, is sharing with us that our capacity to give has nothing to do with what comes back to us. For the gift is ours to give. The gift is in the giving, because giving is a gift that we give to ourselves. Let's go to our cards, Whispers of Lord Ganesha, just to have some final messages. And these two cards came out for us today. The card of fulfillment and the card of prosperity. And these two cards, everyone, are reminding us that we can all be as rich or we can all be as impoverished as we choose, and it has nothing to do with our bank accounts. It's an attitude and a perception of feeling of wealth and prosperity, that we are alive and blessed in so many ways. It all depends on what we focus on. God gives us the songs of birds to cheer our hearts and gladden us every day. God gives us a sunrise each morning and a sunset every night. He gives us stars to wish upon, perhaps to peek through a window of time, to say hello to our loved ones across the veil. He gives us the beauty of Mother Nature to restore and to reconnect to our peace. And God could choose to live anywhere in the universe, but He chooses to live in your heart. And that says it all. Thank you, everyone, for listening today to Time with Angel Ariel to restore hope, inspiration, and peace. I upload these YouTubes on every Tuesday. Do join with me this coming Thursday on my Angel Healing House blog talk radio show that airs at 10 a.m. at Pacific Standard Time, and maybe you'll be one of those listeners that will call in for a free mini angel reading. Go out, everyone, and fashion an absolutely beautiful life for yourself. I'm wishing you love and angel blessings, and can't wait to speak with you again next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.